Okie dokie, everybody. Welcome back. You're here at the Fox Den with Pater Voss, the Papa Fox, and we're going to continue playing Tyranny by Obsidian Entertainment. When we last left off, we had made it to Phlogiston in search of... what were we in search of? Yes, tied together in search of Foibe, something like that. There's a lot to be said here. There's a lot of chorus folk, and we're trying to tread lightly until we figure out what we need to do. And I noticed this happened. We got a new missive on the subject of the spires. Tune on favor 1. Okay. Knowing what you know of my situation, what would you do? Okay. Dear Petra Voss, based on what you've told me, it seems a stretch to believe that these events are mere coincidence or circumstance. Kyros's edict of execution was a setup for someone to claim Ascension Hall. To think that Kyros did not know what would happen is a massive underestimation of the Overlord's long view. You have been thrust into the arena of the mighty. Your options are retreat into obscurity, suicide, or rising to the occasion. I suggest the third option. If I were you, I would use my connection to the spires to see if they will all awaken to my presence. Every Tiersman sees the spires in the horizon. If they know you are the master of the spires, they will see you each time they look to the sunrise or sunset. Foster a reputation for power. Make others fear you. This is what I've seen Kyros and every living Archon do for as long as I've lived, and there's reasons for this. There's the practical case that power and reputation insulate you from threats, but there's the lesser-known element that I can't prove, but I know in my heart to be true. The fear and love of others will strengthen your magic. Huh. That's interesting. This last part I've inferred from my discussions with Bled and Mark. In the few times he has spoken of his gruesome work of slaying those who might rise to threaten the Overlord, he has hinted that it's easier to kill the rogue elements before they become famed and fearsome. In my lifetime, I saw Gravinash change from an unknown militiaman to a fearsome general, and I can assure you, he did not have the power to shield his warriors in those days when he was without title or reputation. The Archons will never, ever discuss the origin of their power, because such knowledge might be used against them, but I have known all the Archons to be obsessed with the presentation of power. Your connection to the spires will all but guarantee the Archons will want to control and destroy you. It's a question of when, not if. Start thinking and acting like an Archon. As far as I'm concerned, you are an Archon of the spires. We are quick to place labels on powers we easily spot, and history is replete with Archons of fire and ice. It is foolish to think that there must be a word for a thing before an Archon can control it. Other way around, the Archons show us what is possible. We must step to their dance. We need to know more about the Archons and how they've risen to power. Let's actually ask about that. I appreciate your insight. I am honored by your vote of confidence. Your missive made mention of Gravinash, and how you've known of him since before he wore the title of Archon of War. Can you tell me more? Yada yada yada. Yes, send it. Okay, transit. In transit HQ. Okay. Let's go ahead and explore. Wait, no, I think I've already explored. Let's see what's in this crate. A indigo. So, how are you all doing? I am doing absolutely wonderfully. I have a bit of rest in me. I have a bit of coffee and a bit of wine. I have a full tummy on roast chicken, mashed potatoes, and vegetables. So this is a good day. My son went down to bed with hardly any time, so there we go. Aha! There we go. Let's actually check to see what's... that's where we need to go, but let's see what else we can find. I don't want to miss anything if I can help it. Aha! We have another barrel. What's this? Nobleman's sandals. Good, 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 good. Alrighty. Yes, I hope your week is going well. Yeah, if you've been paying attention to my channel, you know that I had to take a hiatus because I was sick. Most of these updates will be posted on Twitter. I wasn't too vocal about it just because I was in such a terrible state. But I'll try to be better about explaining why I'm either on hiatus or whatnot. So there we go. Lesser healing potion. Crascalia, Ragwort, Phoebe. Let's talk to Ragwort. The chorus warrior halts her work of grinding spices with mortar and pestle as you approach, and the sharp, pungent smells of herbs and oil stand out over the prevailing smell of char in the village. You need something? Kalia speaks for the gang. You probably want to have words with her instead. Tell me about the captive sages. I scarcely had words with them, which suits me fine. She jerks her head towards Skinner. He's our torture enthusiast. Maybe speak with him. What's your role in the gang? Me? I just do what Kalia says and try not to get in the way. Since most of these louts can't smell over their own stink, the honor of cooking falls to me. She wipes her nose across her arm before returning to the work of grinding her mortar and pestle. Can't complain. It insulates me from abuse. Even Skinner knows better than to mistreat the person who's preparing her food. I must be going. Let's talk with Crass. A tall, heavily scarred blood chanter stands before 3 bound and bloodied sages. She raises her palm, bright orange with unnatural heat, and presses it into one of the captive's eyes. His agonized screams blend together with the hiss of cooking flesh, ending only after he slumps over, passed out. She hears your approach and turns around, panting slightly from exertion. Curious's fetid merkin, a fate-binder out here, of all places. She winces briefly, patting a tightly wound bandage covering her ribs. I know the voices of Narat wants your eviscerated heart, but I have no interest in trying to collect. Not when we have work to do. I'd prefer my gang to save our strength and fight the disfavored, so keep your weapons lowered and we'll do the same. What do you want? How'd you get that wound? I let my guard down. Didn't watch my flank. I got slashed in the ribs by some runt sage in his ridiculous quill knife. She grimaces as she adjusts the bandage around her midsection. We could... Oh! What were the sages doing when you found them? We're going to keep this in mind. She's an enemy. Nothing seems to arouse these sages more than the idea of reclaiming their precious knowledge. No doubt they meant to sneak into the burning library. Otherwise, why trudge through this sad eyesore of a country? They aren't talking, though. Not that these sages could ever get past our garrison, unless they meant to take a different route. They may be soft, but they aren't idiots. They're up to something, and I'm going to find out. I need to speak with the sages. Fat chance, Fatebinder. I respect your rights as Tunan's lapdog, up to a point. She jabs a finger at a shivering, blood-stained sage. Your title is only the only thing that separates you from these traitors. Narat will drive a spike up my butt if he learns that I let you talk to them. So no way. Okay. I am tempted to actually do this because she just tortured somebody that she ought not to have. And if we take her out now, we don't have to fight her later. And we're definitely not going to try to get her on our side, so discreetly slide a knife between her ribs. Yep, we're going to do that. Cold. Before the blood chanter can react, you step forward and push a knife through the bandages covering her ribs. Kalia lets out a choked gasp and falls to the ground, where she continues to flail and hiss. You smash your knee into the side of her neck and pin her with it, twisting the knife while her limbs twitch weakly underneath you. It's not long before she grows still. What happened? Ragwort rushes over and flips Kalia onto her back, revealing the bloodied bandages from her former leader's ribs. She's already dead. She directs a suspicious glare in your direction. We're gonna lie. We don't owe her anything. And we are in deep enemy territory. She was wailing on the prisoners when she fell over. I think she tore open an old wound. Old Crassy was tough. Getting her to admit to any wounds was like pulling teeth. Those sages did get a lucky slash with her. If only she let me know how bad it was, I could have stitched her up. You should inform the rest. I'll deal with the sages. Alright, thanks, Fatebinder. She glances once more at Kalia's still form and shakes her head. This whole outing has gone to hell. I'll be damned before we're to follow that freak Skinner's orders. Kalia's dead, and we're officially done with this ash heap. Grab your gear, leave the sages, we're moving out. She gives Kalia's corpse a frown before turning to leave. Now to solve Skinner and the gang's mine. Thanks, Fatebinder. Oh, that solved that. Dusting my hands of the whole thing. Okay. What do we got? Bloodchanter bracers, Bloodchanter leathers, Bloodchanter sandals. Okay. Yep. Let's talk to Phoebe. Another interrogator? Sages Guild. Injured and restrained, the middle-aged woman manages a weak smile between swollen and blood-caked lips. Though the cuts and burns run the length of her body, her quiet composure grants her a surprising measure of dignity. Apologies if I'm running short on screams. She chuckles, wincing from some unknown pain. Sage Phoebe. Phoebe, you're looking like you're staying active. Oh, for the love of... Why am I not surprised to see the Overlord's most loyal fanatic on the side of my captors? Who's your friend? This is Sage Phoebe, one of our brighter members, if it pains me to say so. She's an expert in concealment magic, or at least should be expert enough to not have been caught. Let's focus on the task at hand. No matter how many times I try to divulge all that I know, you all seem to think I'm hiding more. So be it. We'll play this little game once more. Ask your questions. Answer my questions, and then we'll discuss your fate. I don't suppose you'll be setting me free if I answer your questions. She strains to hold her head up high, crackling the slightest of smiles. Depends upon your cooperation. I suppose I'm in no position to decline. What were you doing here? Foraging. Trying to find food to survive. Ever since the Edict of Fire, I've been homeless and nomadic. Yet I can't bring myself to wander too far from the burning library. It still feels like the center of Tyranny to me. Why did you come to this ruined village specifically? I was not the only sage to escape the Edict of Fire, and many carried scrolls and tomes as they fled the destruction. I won't bring back the school, but it brings me solace to gather up the remnants that I can. I know some survivors passed through this village. It seems plausible they would stash something here, so I stopped to investigate. And then the chorus found me and the beatings began. You risked coming to this village because it seemed plausible someone hid something here? Odd risk to take. The Vellum Citadel has fallen away, but my mission to gather knowledge remains. I follow any plausible lead I can. Okay, I guess it's an intimidation. Hopefully this isn't actually what we're going to do. Uncertainty is an easy lie to peddle. Tell me why you came to this meaningless spot, or I'll mangle your writing hand. Please, that won't be necessary. I'll talk. The truth is, I stashed some old writings in this village years before the war. I came back to recover the texts, but somebody beat me to it. So my only stash was already looted, and to add insult to injury, these chorus goons found me. My peers, she gestures to the other sages, all suffered because I insisted on gathering up old things. A foolish error. What sort of texts were you here to recover? Just poetry, an almanac, sentimental stuff. I can't imagine such things would interest you. You're right. I was hoping to hear that you had hidden away some research into some rogue archon known only to the Tearsmen. Her eyes light up at your comment. Well, not an unknown archon, but... She bows her head and falls silent. Finish that thought. Though my work was in the earlier stages, I was exploring an adaptation of sorts of old Tidecaster magic. I was working with an expression that allowed earth and alloys to be made liquid and then back into solid. I thought this aqueous metallurgy, as I called it, would change the world of artifice as we know it, but all I've done with the magic is ruin perfectly good trinkets. I fear this magic is doomed to be little more than a novelty. She glances about the area and lets out a long sigh. Well, the chorus are no longer a concern. If you let me go, I'll tell you where I hid the tome. Done now, the end of your bargain? As the bonds come undone, she rubs her wrists with a pained smile. Look to the southwest in a smashed crate between a burned tree and the blackened remains of a house. My magic concealed its image, but if you know where to look, you ought to see it. Okay, cool. Thank you for my life, though feel free to spread the word that I am a corpse. Life might be easier that way. She slowly picks herself up, readying herself for the long march onward. Safe travels. Well, yep, no, we did a good thing. We definitely want to keep the Scribes alive, because I think they're going to be a big help. Find the tome of aqueous metallurgy.
Right.
Okay. I think this is where we need to go. Right? Yes, maybe. Aha! There we go. Right, click for details. Cool. Take all. Return to Wagstaff. Okay. Decided not to take Cassandra's tools. Inform Jaspos of your decision. Truth and reconciliation. We're still search the farm with Lantry present to find it. We really do need to. We're going to take another look through. Let's see. Okay, we're going to take another look through the thing. The thing with the stuff. The farm area with Lantry. Let's see if we can find what we can see. Or can't see, actually, because it's hidden. Bastard tear, bastard's wound. Yes. Farm. Yes, let's go to the farm first. Long travel. Oh, a travel we will go, a travel we will go. An abrupt storm drives you into the shelter of a public house built under a colossal stone overhang. Travelers from across the tiers share the space with you, warily eyeing one another in near silence until a thin stew and thinner ale loosens the lips of the gathered. A wiry woman in the with midnight skin sets a large gourd on a stone near the back of the cave. She challenges you to a game of daggers, in which players compete to throw identical knives at a target. The person who hits the nearest center wins. In 3 tries wins. The purse, she states, will be 20 copper rings. Huh. Well, we're not very it's athletics. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Let's play fairly. You stand and approach the woman, setting down your own twine-bound rings and challenge. The woman grins and turns and hurls her first knife, beginning the game. Continue. Lovely. Blood and mark. Oh, cool. She seems quite competent with the hurled blade, but you sink 2 daggers closer to the center of the gourd than her closest. Impressed, she offers you her winnings and purchases your next drink. Blood and mark gain minor favor. Well, that's good. Lovely. Lovely. Good, good, good. End encounter. Okay. Oof. Time to stretch. Oof. Hooray for late at night gaming. Okay. Okay, let's see if we can find this. Charred Nash root. Old Walls Vault. Back again, my lucky day. No, didn't mean to actually click on you. No, I'll be going now. Snorts and nods. Don't need to talk with Kratos.
Can't do that.
Anything in here? No. Already looked in there. Oh! Oh, here it is. That was sneaky. Take the Chronicle. The old concealed text in a pile of pig poop. Trick. Classic. As Lantry approaches the corner of the pen, a pile of hay and animal droppings vanishes, replaced by a stash of scrolls. Now, here's a subject close to my heart. Histories of the School of Ink and Quill. Who doesn't love a little auto-chronicle? Roll calls, minutes, graduation announcements, publication dates, and, letters! Oh my. I doubt sages Karan and Ostrich had any idea their correspondences would be immortalized for the records. In the most exciting bit of history, I can see why... Not the most exciting bit of history, but I can see why Mel and Lexine would want the words of colleagues close at hand. Lantry thumbs through the tome, chuckling with a nostalgic smile at each turn of the page. I take it this brings back memories? Indeed. Some of these notes even have my name on them. Yes, there's my series on bird anatomy. I did that back in 388? Where have the years gone? Do those notes include the parts where you conspire to steal our magic? A slight cough escapes Lantry's lips, but he offers no reply aside from the turning of pages. Well, do they? Well, of course they do. Lantry pauses, his eyes stopping to read the text before him. Nope, they don't. This is about entrapping an old dolt from the school of Wild Wrath, an enemy like the Tidecasters. You fight without a written record. I think I'm flattered. Come closer so I can show you my appreciation. Nice try, old hag. Lantry never makes the same mistake 8 times. I know it's all so worthless in hindsight, but it is a record of our school, whatever that's worth. I can obsess about these later. We have other things to do, right? Lantry closes the text and looks up at you with a smile. Okay, we can pause. I'll look at it. I'm suspicious of everything. We can take a closer look. So you knew Curious was coming. How many years in the making is this school tradition of stashing texts throughout the tiers? It was sort of an insult to suggest something. Was safer outside the Citadel than within it until the first fall of Vendrian's Well, back in 429. At that point, I'm certain all of us started preemptively looting the Citadel, hauling our books to safety. We all lied to each other about it, of course. We can pause. I'll look around while you have a read. How can I say no to that order? With a smug grin, the old sage dives into the texts. Several minutes pass as Lantry pores over the pages. Strange. All these names of dead people. Good riddance to some, others... our loss. Kyros' loss. Anyone you know very well? In a way, all of them. The school was never crowded enough to disappear into an anonymity, but as a field scholar of sorts, it was as distant as it gets. He shakes his head with a heavy sigh, lifting a quill from near his shoulder as he does. He puts the quill to his hand and scribbles a few circles of sepia. Anything seem incorrect? A relaxed smile sets across his face as Lantry exhales, wiping a sepia-stained hand against his cheek. Huh. This is odd. Find something? Well, there's a passage here that isn't quite correct. See for yourself. The text describes a debate with sages discussing the riddle of rings. Right-click for details. Having spent a year with the Forgebound as governor of Lethian's Crossing, you've been subjected to countless hours of banter from the Artisan Magi, and know the riddle as a sort of proverb the elder Forgebound teach to their apprentices. Which melts first is the riddle of the rings. The novices often assume the copper ring melts in a hot flame, the bronze ring in a hotter flame, and the lucrative iron ring melts in the hottest flame of all. But a trained Forgebound knows otherwise. A riddle is generally mentioned when young apprentices ask too many questions about why others outside the guild seem, to the Forgebound at least, utterly incapable of appraising and respecting good craftsmanship. And one sage, with the familiar name of Lantry, is arguing that the riddle of rings posits that Kuros has already conquered the tiers. For if the sages speak the language of Kuros, Lantry reasoned, and use the currency of Kuros, then military conquest is an extraneous formality. Odd. I learned the riddle of rings differently. Bronze first, iron last. Ah, so you know the original. No disrespect to the Forgebound. It's a great teaching tool. I just borrowed the term for a rhetorical effect that day. It was 425. Sage Cavil was giving a lecture series, having recently returned from his expedition to observe the Forgebound and their ways. At one point, he discussed their teaching methods, so the riddle of the rings came up as part of his lecture. At the time, I joked that the real riddle of rings aren't we already conquered? And I launched into a not entirely sober diatribe about Kuros' inevitable invasion and dominion. According to this, I gave a stirring speech met with applause. Hardly. I was hit in the head with an old scroll case and told to sit down, shut up, and let the scholars talk. Maybe your interpretation is one worth remembering. Actual events vindicated your point of view. Let's remain silent. Let's see what he has to say. I think my bit of nostalgia has been overtaxed for the time being. Let's get moving. I need to think on this a bit. Lantry closes the tome, stashing the old book in one of his satchels. Well, find the remaining missing things. Okay, well, we are actually going to call an end to the episode there. If you've enjoyed, go ahead and hit that like button, or give me some feedback if you prefer. Of course, as always, it's great to see you all here at the Fox Den. I hope you come back next time and pull up a chair for some more Tyranny. Alrighty, y'all take care now. Bye.